Alright, so you have your Becker Grand Prix or Europa or any of these similar models radio, and right, you go to turn it on as usual. And yeah, you get this problem where not all the backlight bulbs are still on. Right, so there's 3 at the top, and these do have a tendency to go out sooner than the more beefy side ones. Let me see if I can get a nicer view of that. This is terrible. So anyway, in this video I'll go over how I attempt to fix this, and we'll show you guys the end result. I hope it's gonna work. I've actually never done this before, so let's see. Fingers crossed. Alright, so the situation is the following. We have these very small flat top bulbs, right? And you can actually for sure just find some old fairy lights and just change those, right? Even though those were 220 or 110 volts, the bulbs themselves are not that high voltage, right? They should be like 6 volts or so. But in this case, even though I do have some of those, I don't know, like, not super sure on the longevity of those. I mean, these did go out, and if mine radiate more heat, they're gonna affect this transparent plastic, which thus far is an epic shape. Like, I don't know if others age worse, but this car probably didn't see too much heat, and comes out of Malaysia actually, but who knows where it lived before. And yeah, so basically I want to go LED with this, and actually scavenged some Bernstein Gelb, which is the yellow the Mercedes cars have, right? And so I have some more footprints. I mean, technically all of these should work, but what I'm thinking of doing, right, since these do radiate light 360, is actually sticking 2 of these back to back, and then adding an SMD resistor, and then having that soldered in with the actual wires of these bulbs. So that's the plan at the moment. I'm not sure what the voltage is over there. I'll actually have to measure it, but we'll see. We'll find that out as we go. First up, let's just make these LED clusters up. Alright, so one more thing we do have to actually check is the polarity of these, so I will we'll do that right now, off shot, and we'll mark it on the board, and it should help you guys out as well. Minus, plus, plus, minus, and then minus, plus. I mean, it would have really been nice having them in the same orientation, but was not meant to be. And these do have some resistors in series with them, but yeah, we'll definitely need more. With the aid of my power monitor, I did actually test this out, right? And the LEDs were using about 10 milliamps, around about 10 milliamps at 2 volts, right? And they were producing a fair amount of light, right? 2 of these, I think, would produce at 10 milliamps a similar amount of light, right? This is just ballpark anyway. And right, so we have 2 LEDs. We have to drop 2 volts across them, right? 10 volts across the resistor, and I want round about 12 milliamps. I could go for 20 and have the, right, since I'm having 2 LEDs in parallel, but I'm just gonna have 5 milliamps going through each, or 6 in this case. And so anyway, you have your little formula and 910 ohms roughly. And yeah, so basically the arrangement I went with is the following, right? So I want these to be as drop-in replacement as possible. So as you saw, I snipped one of the light bulbs, so I want this to kind of socket right in, if you will. And yeah, so one end will just be bridged, And this is just solder, right? I really don't want to use small links of wire because that never goes well, right? The links of wire will never really stay there. It's a whole, yeah, it's a can of worms. And yeah, just tapped on an SMD resistor. Pretty big footprint these. I don't remember exactly what they were. But yeah, so the plan at the moment is just to slot these in, and these will illuminate left and right, which I would imagine would do the trick, right? We'll see at the end, but yeah. So yeah, basically what you want to do is either have a low amount of flux going, which I don't, or just blob on a serious amount of solder. This really is not going to be a big issue. Although the higher the mass of this, the more stress will be on those leads from vibration and shit. So that's not super desirable, but I think we're still good on weight. And I'm just going to make the third one and then cut back because the focus is dead. Cut back to actually putting them on the main board. Alright, so running a quick test reveals a pretty significant problem. And that is the color temperature is not really Bernstein Gelb, right? So there's two options. We either swap all of them to LEDs, which, given how trivial constructing those LED clusters is, would not be a problem, right? Obviously, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go hunt a fairy light string and just get myself some incandescent action going, right? Because yeah, I think that is the only way going forward, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, had to be tried and has been. Yeah, so basically after all the LED shenanigans, I've decided to stick with incandescent. So this is the bulb that I tried to fit, and this came out of a string of fairy lights, Christmas lights, and yeah, this is way too large. I think this is around 4 millimeters, and this supposedly is 3. Haven't actually measured them, but I take the lady's word for it. And these are exactly the same width. They just have a rounded head instead of a flat one, but really should not be an issue. Alright, so let's see how these look. Again, 12 volt, 3 millimeter bulbs. And contact. Damn it. There we go, yeah. So yeah, this color temperature wise, I think we have nailed it. So this is how this would look with the brightness adjusted. Somehow this always on bulb is a bit brighter, I think. But yeah, not super bad. So yeah, unfortunately we couldn't swap this over. I mean, you still can, but was in the end not worth swapping to LEDs. This is actually way cooler than Bernstein Gelb, right? That's very decisive yellow. This is a more broadband, warm white kind of color. It's similar, but it's not the same deal. Same thing. So yeah, basically I would recommend everyone stock up on the 3 millimeter bulbs. This is what I've done. Seems the big ones are a bit more resilient. Do let me know if you guys also have to swap these ones out. What I have from the fairy lights seems to fit this form factor a bit better. But again, the ones I had from the Christmas lights were around 5 volts. These are 12. They have a much longer filament inside, so yeah. Well, that's been it. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. If you want me to swap out the bulbs on your radio, contact me in the comments and we'll figure something out. Have a good one, guys.